Next, we need to cover a couple of key economic concepts. The first economic concept that we're going to cover is Ceteris Paribus. This is a Latin term for meaning all else being equal, or holding all else constant. As you go through experiments in science, what you typically have is you have one variable that is being changed and one variable that is changing. And you see this in biology, chemistry, physics, any kind of hard science like that. Well, because economics is a social science and it's dealing with human behavior, we really can't go out and do experiments on humans near as effectively as we can on, say, a test animal or something of that nature, or certain type of chemicals in chemistry. So because you can't really go in there and do these kind of tests, we have to come up with these economic models that we discussed over here that are based off of human patterns that have these assumptions. And then we're going to hold everything else constant. So we might come up with this economic model that predicts the price of corn to be $3.50 tomorrow. But that is assuming nothing else happens in the real world. But is that always the case? No, usually something else is going to happen. There might be bad weather that comes through, or a tornado that comes through and rips up the corn belt and causes the supply to decrease. If that happens, then the price of corn is going to increase. Well, that was something outside of the control of the model. That was something outside of that model. So we throw on this Ceteris Paribus saying that if we hold all else constant, then we can actually more or less predict the future. But that doesn't always hold true because something else is generally going to happen. So we use this Ceteris Paribus to say we're not allowing any external forces to come in, and this is what our model is predicting. The next concept that we're going to discuss is opportunity cost. The definition for opportunity cost is how much of an earning is foregone by using a resource in its current employment. This is an economic value of a resource in its highest value alternative use. So that's a lot of words for basically meaning how much could you make if you used resource in a different employment. So let's talk about a farmer, for example. If a farmer is going out and they're spending all of their labor farming their own land, and they're farming their own land and then they get paid more or less on the profits that they make off of their crops, if they make a profit at all. What else could that farmer be doing with their labor? If they weren't farming, what other employments could they use? Well, maybe they're going to be a manager of another farm and they get a paid salary of, say, $60,000. Well, that $60,000 is the foregone income by a farmer using their resources in its current employment. The farmer continuously uses their resources, their labor, in its current employment of farming their own land, and then their revenue, that earnings comes from their profit off of their crops. But if they weren't farming their own land, what else could they be doing? That's that alternative, using that resource in its highest alternative value use. So that farmer is foregoing $60,000 in salary in order to farm their own land. So that's that opportunity cost of farming their own land. Another great example that we talk about with students is, let's say you're a full-time student here at Casper College and you're not working anywhere else. Well, if you weren't a full-time student, what would you be doing? You would be using your time to actually be working out in an industry somewhere. So you are giving up that salary to come to college. So that foregone income, that foregone salary of you coming and getting your education here at Casper College, rather than going out and working, that amount that you give up by not working is your foregone income. So the opportunity cost is more or less how much are you giving up to use your resources, your time, your labor in its current employment, or any other type of resources. Another example could be, say that you have a tractor and you have all of the equipment to bale hay. And you can bale your own hay, or you could be doing custom baling, or both. And you decide you're not going to do custom baling because you would rather farm your own land or do something else on your own land. Well, that income that you're giving up by not farming or not doing that custom baling, using that equipment, that is also foregone income. So essentially, Ceteris Paribus means you're holding all else equal. Opportunity cost is how much are you giving up by not going out and doing something else with your current resources? What is the economic value of a resource in its current or in its highest value alternative use?